Welcome back, everybody. My name's Andrew and you're watching the Kelley's Country Life. So today's episode is another preparation episode for installation and drywall that is coming up very soon. This has also been an extremely popular request from you, the viewers. So we live in a state that has termites. They're all across the country, but Florida is definitely known for wood-boring termites, and something that we have to be very careful of down here. So I want to make for sure that I treat the house before we get it sealed up and closed in here in just a couple of days. And I'm going to use a special product that y'all been asking me about. So this product is called Boracare, and I happen to buy one that also comes with a fungicide. It's for mold treatment as well, to kind of help prevent more than help a current situation. So what Boracide is, well, you probably already recognize the name right there, the Bora at the beginning, as in like Boric Acid, the specialized salts that are mined across the country here in the United States, down in Chile, different places like that, I'm understanding. And for the most part, boric acid or boric salt is relatively harmless to humans. It's a safe product to put in, but it does something pretty awesome, and it's been around a very long time. So a lot of us are familiar with boric acid in the form of the white powder. Basically all Boracare is, it's a water-soluble solution for that boric salt. So you'll see that we'll mix it with several gallons today, put it in a sprayer that gets it nice and in solution so we can go apply it everywhere. Then that water itself evaporates, leaving behind that dissolved salt that'll get soaked up in the fibers of the wood itself. So long story short, what happens is that salt will stay in the house and in the lumber that we're going to treat for the lifetime of the house. It doesn't go anywhere. However, if you treat outdoor lumber, keep in mind, because this is water soluble salt, it can be washed away. But once the house is dried up and sealed, you don't have to worry about that. It's in the lifetime of the wood. So long story short, what happens when the termite comes in, they're not big fans of the sunlight. Speaking of that, I'll put my sunglasses on so I can talk to y'all. So they'll build little wood tubes, or they'll find dark ways to access a lot of your lumber, and then they bore through it. They're boring just like beetles, carpenter ants, and termites themselves. By the way, Boracare treats all that. So once you spray this wood with this solution, the fibers of the wood soak it in. The water that we mixed it in dries, the salt stays behind. Here comes the termite, bores into this wood and actually ingests the wood fibers along with this salt. It doesn't kill on contact. It's not toxic. It's not the way it works. Termites are known to carry back to the nest what they've just ingested and feed it to the rest of the colony. That is perfect. That's great. That's why this works so well. Now that salt actually affects the enzymes inside the digestive tract of the termite to where they can no longer digest. So the more termites that carry back these wood fibers with that salt, feed it to the rest of the colony, well, they all eventually die because, well, they can't digest. Now the fungicide that also comes in this that you mix, I'm not exactly sure how that works, but there's areas around pipes and in bathrooms we're going to go ahead and spray this and do extra treatment. And the fungicide actually stays on the wood as well and inhibits mold or fungus growth down the road. So say you ever have a leak or a problem in the house, it's great to go ahead and buy this Boracare with that, since you're already treating everything at once. We're going to mix this. It says to mix 1 gallon of this product. As you can see, it's got the fungicide basically up in this small container. It's like a gel, and then you have 1 gallon of the liquid Boracide, the dissolved salt. It says mix it with 5 gallons of water. Well, that'll be 6 gallons total. Won't fit here, so I've got 2 5-gallon buckets. I'll fill one up, divide it in half, and then we'll pour this product in and start mixing back and forth. It's best to mix with a drill and paddle. Sadly, I cannot find mine from packing up and moving, a year or so ago. But what we can do is pour these buckets back and forth until we see that everything's nice and dissolved in solution. Then we'll put it in a pump-up sprayer, and I'll show you how we'll treat the wood. And to be perfectly honest with you, the Boracare itself, that salt solution, is non-toxic. I'm not worried about it at all. I don't have a clue what's in the fungicide, so just to be safe, I'll wear some glasses, gloves, and a respirator while I apply this. We'll add a little water in there to try to get the last of that out, and we may have to find a paddle to mix this up. It's pretty thick. right, and now goes the fungicide. All right, so I apologize for it being so dark in here, but obviously we don't have power. We're not at that stage. So for the little bit of research I did with this, treating 2 to 3 feet up on all of your lumber is as far as you need to go. Because keep in mind, these are ground insects, with the exception of there are some that do fly, but the majority of termites you're going to see come from the ground itself underneath. And they're going to start burrowing at the bottom plate, working their way up through. So treating 2 to 3 feet seems to give you plenty of coverage for them to feed through, find this product, and carry it back. Now, if you're more worried about the fungicide portion, you can treat higher in areas around pipes and say your bathroom, for example. So as crazy as this feels to come in here and soak all my wood, I'm doing this several days before the insulators are gonna show up to make for sure this dries very well. I'm also gonna run some fans today, but you'd be surprised how quick this water will dry. I'm gonna hit my sheathing, try to hit all around the studs. The bottom plate's already treated, but we're gonna go ahead and hit that as well. And again, as soon as this water evaporates here in just a few minutes to an hour or two, all that's left behind is this solution that is then soaked up into the wood itself, because keep in mind, this is kiln dried wood, and wood fibers are almost like straws. They're very fibrous. They will soak up. So excellent product, works great. All right, so I've already hit all the exterior walls and I still have a few gallons left. So I'm gonna go ahead and start treating the interior walls 2 to 3 feet up. And it says that you can apply this product a second time. So I'm gonna let these exterior walls dry to the touch. And then if I've got an extra gallon or two, I'm gonna continue to treat them, because especially this back wall and this wall right here, these are the ones I'm most concerned with, because they're the closest to the ground, closest to dirt, closest to where the termites are gonna access. Everything else over here is under a 20 to 10 foot porch. Termites typically aren't going to crawl across an open porch out in the exposed sunlight to get to your house. So these are my most concerned walls. I think a second treatment here, if I have some left over, is the right way to go. Now, places like the shower where there's potential for pipes to bust or leak down the road and cause mold problems, I'm just going to go ahead and spray from the roof down. All right, so I am done spraying all the exterior and interior walls, and I had just enough, barely just enough, to spray the exterior walls one quick time, an additional time. I went up to the 4 foot blocking this time as well to make sure I got a good coat and everything soaked in really well. Now, a couple quick points to note from Boracare. I read through their little manual there. You're supposed to do a second coat anytime you can only coat 2 sides or less of a board. So say, for example, this stud right here, well, I can only get this side and this side, 2 sides only. They recommend let it dry for just a few minutes, second treat again. Now, for example, a stud like this, see, I can get all three sides. They say one time sufficient, but I actually came back for a second time and soaked that again. So keep that in mind. Now, it's also worth mentioning this is a 1,500 square foot house right here, a 30 by 50. And I was watching a Matt Reisinger video that recommended this Boracare, and that's one that a lot of y'all suggested that I look at as well. And he mentioned about a 1,500 square foot house is what that 1 gallon is perfect for. And I have to say I agree, because there's gonna be a lot of areas you're gonna wanna do a second coat. I was able to do that. Able to fully coat my shower, for example. Now, this is also 2 by 6 walls. I did extra treatment. I think you could probably push it to an 1,800 or larger square foot home. But this stuff, while expensive at about $120 a gallon, is cheap when you think about the fact of termite damage itself and what it can do to a home. Literally costing tens of thousands of dollars in damage if you were to get a really bad infestation. Now, one other thing I am concerned about, because that was a salt treatment, a lot of homes are going to have bolts. They're going to have metal straps like this, hurricane straps. So I am concerned about some potential corrosion there, because I just sprayed a salt solution on there. I'm going to watch that. Also, I was very careful around, say, gas lines, for example. Now, that's stainless steel, but down here is galvanized. I made for sure I skipped that area and did not spray on that. But what I'll probably come back and do, I've already coated my bolts once with either silicone spray or WD-40. I'll probably come back once everything is dried and, say, for example, take a quick can of WD-40 and coat that stuff. Something like a Corrosion X or silicone spray on those bolts before you spray this stuff probably would have been the best idea. But I'll keep an eye on it the next few days and see if I see any rust or anything that shows up. This solution may not cause that problem. After all, it is made for treating homes in the rough end stage. Now, one other treatment that I want to do is that Boric Acid that I showed you. As you can see, I have relief cuts cut in my concrete slab all throughout the floor. That is very common to do, because if there's one thing we all know about concrete, it's great and it does crack. It's going to shift and crack with time. Now, my concrete's done very well. I have a very few minor cracks, but what you don't see is that relief cut that goes down into the slab actually allows, that's where you're making the concrete crack. So as it dries, shifts, things happen, you kind of want to control where the crack goes. Now, the only issue with these relief cuts that go all the way to the edge of the wall is I've noticed something. So there's been many days that I've came out here in the house and noticed, well, these cracks build up with dirt, sawdust, everything else as you're working. But I'll come in and notice all that's been pulled out of it, and on either side of the crack, all the way down, like somebody run a trencher through the house or through that little crack, a little mini trencher, and pulled all the debris out. And for a while I was thinking, okay, maybe the wind's blowing in from the outside and shoving its way down the crack or something. Then I finally realized what's going on. It's ants. Bugs are going to use these cracks as pathways. It's just natural instinct for them. It's a highway. So what they're doing is going in there, getting the dust, the dirt, the debris, everything out of there, clearing out their little highway underground and using it to walk around. That's where the boric acid comes in. So you can buy boric acid in bulk, but I like to buy it in these little containers with this nozzle. What I'm about to do is vacuum these cracks out, and then I'll actually put this boric acid in that crack, which will keep the ants and other bugs from using that as their own little personal highway. Now, once we get toward the end of this build and I really clean the house up great, right before I'm gonna put flooring down, I'll vacuum the cracks out again, because there's gonna be new debris in there, and I'm trying to stop ants that are in here right now. We'll retreat it, because this stuff is extremely cheap, and I'll probably skim coat over with some of that concrete crack repair, or something like a polyurethane caulk or silicone in that crack before I put my flooring down. So I'll have boric acid in it, then I'll completely cover the crack, but there's still gonna be cavities and all down there. So if bugs ever try to use it in the future, they're walking right through something that'll kill them. Now we're doing spray foam insulation, so I did not feel comfortable putting this in the wall all along my bottom plate for adhesion reasons. But if you're doing a home with traditional insulation that you're just putting in the wall, fiberglass for example, or some of the wool insulation, this, again, being so cheap, is absolutely worth sprinkling all on your bottom plate. So if bugs do make it in from the outside, they literally have to walk through this stuff before they make it into your home. I recommend doing it also on your bottom plates before you seal your walls up. So the old saying, an ounce of prevention goes a long ways. I absolutely believe that whenever it comes to doing things like this. So today I might have $130 to $140, which is, yeah, that's some money, no doubt about that. But it is nothing compared to the damage and aggravation that these types of bugs can cause. This is why whenever I started, you start by sealing your bottom plates to the slab all the way from the first day you start framing. This is why I put all that rubber butyl caulk down on my sheathing and sealed my sheathing to my bottom plate. Between that, the spray foam, the boric acid, the treatment I just done, and routine spraying outside, I typically never have to treat the inside of a home for bugs if you can keep them out and really take care of treating the outside. That, my friends, will keep your house as mostly bug-free as you can possibly get it. Now, as far as the outside goes, I treat with a product called Bifin. It's commonly used around here for termites, and I'll go around and spray it around my foundation every couple of months. It works very, very well on other bugs as well. That's also a good time to look along the bottom concrete for any of those little dirt tubes that I was talking about. It almost makes you look like or think that ants built them, but that's actually termite tubes built out of mud, and they're crawling back and forth and using those. Again, you got to think of those termites like little wood vampires. They don't like being out in the daytime, and they like to suck the life out of your very expensive lumber in your home. So they build those tubes as little travel highways for things they can't get through, like concrete. And then as soon as they find an entrance into the wood, it's game over. You've got a problem. So I don't know if this stuff is a gimmick or not, but it was worth trying for no more cost than I have in it. It'll help me sleep a little better knowing that I'm protecting my house from termites, which cause more damage than just about any other bug, most likely, to a home. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this episode. All this was purchased with my own money, no sponsorships, no nothing here. Again, I have no idea if the product even works, but I've seen popular build channels recommend it. Y'all have recommended some of these products left and right recently. Now is absolutely the time to do it, because in just a couple of days, this house is sealed up with insulation. We don't have access to the walls anymore. Thanks for watching.